Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. Patch 10.15 is just a few days away, releasing Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, depending on your region. I've been getting messages from new and returning players looking to come back for the patch 10.15, and many of you are looking to make that big class decision. Most of you hope to find the main that you can call your own, something that is competitive and endgame content, but also a class that is versatile, that can perform in both PvE as well as in PvP. While 10.15 is a smaller content update, it does bring with it massive fundamental class changes which may even be confusing or intimidating for new and returning players to dive back into. So in today's video, I wanted to offer some guidance and highlight the 5 classes that are definitely worth exploring, focusing on those who've gotten the most attention as well as the most improvements throughout the PTR cycle. But right before we get into this update video, most of you guys watching these are still not subscribed. However, the more of you remind, the more of you do. So let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell if you're watching these videos anyway, especially if you want to get more regular content regarding all of the newest Dragonflight updates and changes going forward. The first class worth exploring for the patch 10.15 is the iconic class of Mage, as all 3 of its specs are set to make some serious gains, as well as some spec-specific reworks. First, the class itself has had its talent tree adjusted, where Rune of Power is no longer part of its core gameplay, which allows for much greater mobility as the Mage is no longer tethered to the rune when dealing damage. Mages also gained a new version of Ice Block, which protects the mage wholly without the immunity bonus. Mages have gained additional support skills like Mass Barrier to shield their allies, or Mass Invisibility to shroud the party into darkness, which creates some new and exciting group capabilities. The spec of Arcane has gained a very slight talent tree rework, the one where certain core talents have become baseline class abilities, while other talents gain some of the upgrade nodes natively, leaving Arcane mages less likely to sacrifice on single target talents for AoE options and vice versa. Capstones of Orb Barrage have been reworked entirely, greatly improving Arcane mages' ability to cleave and AoE large numbers of enemy targets. The specs of Frost and Fire have gained the most amount of changes, with the spec of Fire specifically getting much more support towards the Flame Strike ability, with fantastic improvements to make the spell play and feel like an AoE version of Pyroblast. Unleashed Inferno Capstone is another great addition, which greatly improves the pacing of this already fast-paced playstyle, as well as even more improvements to some of the more powerful talented options. Frostmage has gained even more depth than ever before, while keeping it a familiar experience to returning players. Its mastery has been expanded beyond the passive icicle damage, and will now empower spells like Comet Storm, Frozen Orb, and Blizzard in AoE, and supports talents such as Glacial Spike as well as Ray of Frost. Frost has gone through some fundamental changes, starting with the talent of Icy Veins, which will now summon a water elemental to assist you in combat. Attacks by the water elemental will empower your frost spells by up to 15%, which makes the cooldown of Icy Veins feel far more impactful. Underused talents like Ray of Frost have gained far more combat value, and the impact of Frost mages in AoE content has been greatly improved. Overall, the class of Mage seems like the perfect package, from the new group utilities added in the class tree to more fundamental improvements found in every one of its 3 playstyles. Then we have the class of the Evoker, which has been seen as a successful new addition so far for the expansion of Dragonflight. The spec of Preservation maintains its competitive footing and retains a ton of ability depth thanks to its echo and empowerment mechanics. Devastation's most recent rework has left them quite powerful, capable of dominating the team-wide damage charts whenever their offensive cooldowns allow it. Augmentation is the newest addition for the patch 10.15 and is currently set up to be an absolute game changer for grouped endgame content. A ranged DPS playstyle with a massive focus on party support skills, improving their group's damage as well as survivability, with incredible control skills and a numerous endless array of group utility. Most in the community expect augmentation will become a staple for most raid and dungeon groups, and those who can get the hang of this spec early into the patch 10.15 might find themselves as one of the most desired playstyles for endgame content. Next we get the class of Druid, with the spec of Balance is getting quite a bit of a talent tree refresher. Most of their talent nodes are being adjusted to open up a lot more build variety without necessarily impacting their overall performance. Some of their talents have gained quality changes, such as Shrapnel losing its RNG factor, instead increasing the potency of Starfall in AoE encounters. Talents like Umbral Intensity gain greater value for every talent point spent. And even the new Moon Capstones have gained quite a bit of additional damage for every of the lunar phases. Feral Druid received similar treatment for 10.15, starting with the newest talent of Dire Fixation, which would greatly improve the Feral's single target and focus damage output. Talents of Rampant Ferocity will deal cleave damage independently, no longer scaling off of how powerful your ferocious bites are. Guardian Druid is the final spec to gain additional major changes, with their talent tree nodes slightly adjusted positionally, and with many of them receiving even greater improvements. Innate Resolve turns Frenzied Regeneration into a powerful healing effect, which scales in value based off of their missing health. The talent of Raise will no longer replace Maul, which allows bears to gain greater AoE output without sacrificing any boss damage. Flashing Claws alters Thrash so that it may reach even more stacks against all targets. More Thrash stacks leads to more damage, which can also help reinforce Guardian Druid defensively. Each stack of Thrash also helps you reduce the damage you take while increasing your damage you deal by up to 10%. Together with the Woundfire passive reduction, Guardian Druids can benefit from up to 20% passive damage reduction, which by itself is quite sizable. Damage reduction is especially powerful against certain damage types like magic damage, which easily bypasses all of the tank's armor, with this newest change greatly improving Guardian Druid's overall survivability. Next, we have the class of Warlock, which has been able to maintain a fairly competitive position among the other DPS classes, especially when we consider content like raids and dungeons, as well as how they're performing within PvP. Warlocks are set to gain additional talent changes, starting with Affliction. The new version of Xavius' Gambit increases the damage of Unstable Affliction by up to 30% passively. Combined together with the new Dread Touch, Malefic Rapture infects the targets suffering with Affliction, causing them to take 30% additional damage from all overtime abilities for 8 seconds, which opens up for a more streamlined playstyle where managing your dots and debuffs is at the core of the Affliction Warlock gameplay. In the same talent choice node, Doom Blossom causes the target suffering Affliction to erupt outwards every time you cast Seed of Corruption, which adds some much needed AoE gameplay into the dungeon environment. Demonology talents have gone through quite an overhaul as they gain a little bit more crit interaction. Additionally, the primary demonic Felgar pet will also grow a bit stronger through its new passive options. The talent of Bile Scourge Bombers has become more usable with its soul shard cost completely removed, and every other demonic summon has also gained additional damage as well, though Demonology is now limited to only 2 Dreadstalkers maximum per summon, which changes their AoE capabilities. Destruction Warlock gains a new version of Crashing Chaos, where summoning an Infernal causes your next few Chaos Bolts or Rain of Fire casts to be greatly empowered, which supports Infernal Summoner playstyles. And the talent of Dimensional Rift has grown 15% more effective, which could make it a tad stronger, especially when it comes to mobility-heavy encounters. Finally, the class of Paladin. Paladin has become a lot more favored over their time spent in the Dragon Isles, especially when comparing them against all the other tanking options. Paladins command attention within dungeons, able to hold enemy aggro with fantastic damage output, a reliable vanguard when it comes to their survivability, while offering a fantastic set of support skills that every raid and dungeon party can utilize. Retribution is another Paladin spec which grew more popular since its last major rework, becoming more renowned as a valuable melee DPS powerhouse. The only spec found trailing behind is Holy. Not that Holy Paladins aren't great healers, as they certainly got their own strengths, but they are not universally well-rounded like their DPS and tank counterparts. Patch 10.15 is looking to change that by refreshing their talent tree and core identity. Glimmer has become part of its Paladin-based gameplay, where Holy Shocks will leave a glimmer of light on their target, with every other shock healing allies and scorching foes that have the touch of Glimmer. This Glimmer playstyle gains additional depth by giving Paladins new ways to customize this passive effect, more spells which can interact with the Glimmer mechanic, and new cooldowns which create additional opportunities of skill expression in the Paladin healing gameplay. Beacon of the Lightbringer makes its return, which helps adjust your mastery. Targets closest to the Paladin or your beacon target, usually the tank, gain maximum healing value, which lets Holy Paladins experiment with the maximum healing distance, with many other capstones further improved, which could help influence some of the Holy Paladin build variety, which helps improve the value of the class of Paladin going forward, since all of its 3 specs are looking quite strong for the patch 10.1.5. As per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, in the description of every single video and live stream, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video or hang out with the rest of the community to discuss some of the upcoming changes. Join our Discord to become part of the community. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.